because the landscape has changed a very significant amount. I am aware of stories of, well, one in particular where two students made a very big allegation against a teacher of something that happened in the classroom. They did not know that this was a classroom that actually had CCTV in it. And the CCTV captured what really happened, which was not what the students had reported. And there was no consequence there for the young people who had made those false allegations. It was just, oh, kids being kids, but it had the potential to end somebody's career. And if there hadn't been CCTV in that classroom, that would have been really quite dangerous for that member of staff.
I'll go further than end of the career. It's the type of thing where somebody ends up taking their own life, or destroying their marriage, or destroying that's to some people that could destroy them, because reputation is important to teachers, and we work hard to build a reputation which could be destroyed because there are others. Even when you're proved innocent, they're like, well, we're in that society now, we're guilty till proven innocent, and it's not fair like that. But that's not, we need evidence sometimes to exonerate us. But I've given advice to people now to say, I don't want you to be around certain children, and I'd like you to talk to that individual with somebody else beside you. We're almost having to double up now in corridors and places like that for your own safety, for physical safety, but also for safety because the trust isn't there, and the ulterior motives of some children and some parents have led some of my colleagues to be fearful of false allegations, but also seeking out, standing in front, having conversations where they know there are cameras just in case. And I find myself doing that now, and I'm not a person that would ever thought that would be the case, but I stand now where I know I can be visible should anything happen, that I have the backup of a camera, and that's Big Brother-esque, but that's where we're at.
So why would a body cam be worn as opposed to having CCTV in the classrooms? When I watch police footage filmed on body cams, it's often very chaotic, really difficult because you can't direct the camera, whereas I suppose it gets closer up to the situation. I'm just wondering, I mean, we didn't have any kind of cameras in our classrooms when we went back after COVID. I think that was a good thing. I think it's a terrible thing that this is a consideration now. I can imagine a lot of teachers would be very concerned about that footage being used for other reasons as well. And I think there is a concern that it's brought in for one reason, this is for your own protection, and then very soon it becomes, well, the student said that you were teaching them about the different types of angles in a triangle, or the different types of triangle, and actually it seems you strayed off the curriculum. And do you see what I mean? Apparently you were talking for 20 minutes about do you see what I mean? And yeah. I do worry about that risk. I don't know how you would control that, because this is how things start, isn't it? They start for a good reason, and then they become useful for something else, and then it's beyond useful for something else. It becomes something that is imposed as a use. So what about what you wear as well? I mean, how do you attach a body cam? I know that there's a certain pub brand where all of the staff wear body cams, but they have a uniform that it can fit onto. It's becoming more and more prevalent in society now, that these cameras are worn.
Isn't it in itself that members of staff in a pub chain are having to do that because behaviour is just so out of control?
Yep. And this is the problem. We are bringing up those children. We are teaching those children. We are showing children now, unfortunately, that there are no boundaries, that there are no consequences. And those children go out into the real world and they become adults. Even before they become adults, they arrange to meet in a town centre to absolutely destroy shops. There were shops that couldn't reopen even the next day following those swarms of students, or children or young people, whatever you want to call them, this is a huge problem, and it all stems, I think, from that lack of boundaries in the classroom. We shouldn't even need to be having this conversation about whether we need body cams. It is shocking. It's absolutely shocking.
I do agree with you, Lucy, like on that being a slippery slope. And the things that I read about this when it was kind of first floated, and it was floated in America as well. And it was suggested, interestingly enough, not for the protection of teachers, but for the protection of students against indoctrination by teachers. That was the original suggestion for it. It was the idea that we need to keep an eye on what the teachers are doing and to make sure they're not brainwashing our children into this. And so I entirely agree with your viewpoint as well, that it could be misused, misconstrued, used for, I mean, I would like to prove that that is not happening in classrooms, to be fair. That's
what we're really saying is it's we don't want the Orwellian version of this. We don't want the Big Brother is watching you for nefarious reasons, and should you stray from it, the television will respond with 2 + 2 = 5 if the curriculum says that 2 + 2 = 5. And that's my concern. I don't like government overreach. We get told 2 things at the same time. We get told oracy. Yes, we want sage on the stage. We want teachers to inspire students. But should you deviate from one of these corporate mats who have got like a designated way that you must do things, you're out the door. And so, yeah, it could turn into a mission creep thing where it comes in and you go, this is a benevolent good thing. But for every benevolent good thing, like the internet, there's a dark web and there's a dark thing. And that's the way society has been. It's like, I was reflecting on this, thinking the amount of people now who have cameras in their cars, because it used to be, you would have a car crash, you'd turn around, you'd exchange details with the person, you'd trust that person, and you'd go, hey, keep it out of the insurance, I've done a dent, you've done a dent. And you would have that faith in humanity where you'd go, thanks very much, I'm sorry I've done that, and then off you go. But it's Americanization, it's litigation society. This is what's happening. We're living in that world now where everybody's ass covering and everybody's trying to be ass covering, and that's the problem we've got, is that we are vulnerable because there will be people who will throw us under the bus, and they would use that footage to turn around and say, oh yeah, sorry, your parent complaint is correct, that teacher deviated from, as you said, Lucy, from the curriculum for 20 minutes. And yet, I've been criticized for that over 20 odd years of teaching. And now it's back in fashion, the sage on the stage, the government saying it wants oracy. I just don't bother listening to some of this nonsense, because a good teacher knows what his students want and need, and actually sometimes can go around about, tell a story. Call me old-fashioned, I'm an Irishman. I'm a storyteller. I tell a story on a sage on a stage as a teacher. So if I'm somebody's going to class and going, oh, he hasn't done the story yet. Remember the 3-part lesson? I haven't done the plenary. Oh God, no. Oh my God, I haven't done a plenary. Sack me on the spot. What, the kids won't remember my lesson because I haven't done a plenary. Yeah, right. Our Lord Jesus stood up in the Sermon on the Mount at the end. He turned around and he went, right, by the end of today's sermon, I'm going to feed 5,000 of you, and I'm going to perform a couple of miracles. Did he do that? I mean, did Dr. Martin Luther King do that? Did any of the great people in history need a plenary or a lesson plan? Sometimes, honest to goodness, we overcomplicate things in our profession. And the problem is there are people who don't know how to teach, never taught themselves, and are in charge of organizations who thinks that teaching runs like a business, and it's an organic thing, and teachers are organic human beings. And that's the problem with this body cam footage. You could take 5 minutes of a body cam footage, take it out of context, twist it, whack it into AI, and God knows what you're going to get. So I almost think that's nearly obsolete by the time it comes in, isn't it, really? Because we're at that point,
Can I just come in? So firstly, welcome to Yasmin for joining us. Yasmin, we're talking about the body cams, obviously, but you know what I'm going to say now, because I'd really like to talk to you very quickly about the show's partners. So firstly, AQA, are you ready to make an impact beyond the classroom? AQA is looking for teachers like you to become examiners this summer. You'll build your CPD, strengthen your understanding of the mark scheme, and gain fresh insights to enhance your teaching. It's flexible paid work that fits around your commitments, with full training from our experts and ongoing support from an experienced team leader. Whether you're an early years careers teacher or you have years of classroom experience, examining with AQA is a valuable way to develop your knowledge and join a community of or subject specialists, I do apologise. Join AQA as an examiner this summer. Visit aqa.org.uk/apply today. And then Hachette Learning, of course, because they are a long-term sponsor. This show is brought to you in partnership with Hachette Learning, publishers of professional development books and resources that support great learning and teaching around the schools around the world. Level up your professional development today and visit www.hachetteLearning.com to explore the full range of titles.
Thank you so much, Lucy. Welcome, Yasmin. And so, Joe, we haven't yet had the opportunity to hear your view on body cams. Yasmin as well, to join us. We've had mixed reviews so far, and there are pros and cons. So, what do you think, Joe?
As you know, I like to talk out loud and then talk myself round and round into a big circle while I try and process what it is that I actually think. I think body cams are a bit like, and forgive me when I say this, all police colleagues that might be out there in the general world, but they're a bit like police officers. You never want one till you want one. Yeah. Right? And often one turns up when you it's an inconvenience, isn't it? Sometimes, you know, if you're doing that thing that we might think is a little bit wrong, speeding, for example, that type of thing, we're always a little bit cross. And I guess that if I thought I was constantly being watched in a classroom, I would feel pretty aggrieved about that. But the second somebody said I'd done something that I definitely hadn't, and that wasn't it, I'd be pretty keen that I did have something. And it's that difficulty, isn't it, about trust, about that concept of whether your word is taken and whose word beats whose. And I think I agree with really the comment that if you watch anything for long enough, if we played back any of this later on and watched it and thought, oh, how did I come across that? Did I emphasize that particular word too much? And how might that be interpreted by somebody else? You're obviously going to drive yourself crazy. And I think that if broad scale body cam was available, there would be not a decrease in comments, allegations, complaints. I think there would be more and more low-level nitpicky complaints about the emphasis that you put on a particular word or the way that you explained a particular thing, or whether the challenge that you gave to a young person who said something that was, you know, offensive to somebody else, whether that was harsh enough, strong enough, whether it was fair, whether it was, you know, everybody's got a different scale and everybody's got a different view on how things would be dealt with. And I really don't like the idea that everything could be out there. I like the idea even less that body cam footage could be kept for, how long is something to protect somebody from an allegation? People leave employments, they leave schools, they leave education, you know, they grow up, whatever. How long would you have to keep all of those records before somebody might come back and say in 10 years' time, actually, back in whenever, my French teacher said this or did this, and now that's a real big problem. And I don't like that idea of having that type of information around for a really long time. That being said, I absolutely do agree that having CCTV around cameras around schools, corridors, busy areas has been kind of invaluable. I wonder if we'd feel differently about body cameras if they were just vision only rather than sound. That we might feel differently about. Then it's not our explanation, it's actually about our interactions and body language and things. I don't know if that would make a difference. But I just think that there are protections in place, but if we don't give that trust and earn that trust by giving it, either way, we're painting ourselves into a very, very dark and miserable corner. And thinking back to Sunday's show, Melania's robot may as well just be here we are now, because there you go. If we have Melania's robot instead of loads of teachers, we wouldn't need to worry about this, would we?